Clearly, of course, the Israeli strike on Iran is dominating the news this morning. This is extremely good news, in my opinion, as the Iranians cannot be trusted at all regarding their nuclear program. Hopefully, Israel will set them back a decade with regard to their nuclear plans, and maybe Trump can seal the deal for now with some kind of settlement, or better yet, maybe the people of Iran will rise up and overtake the Iranian yo-yos that are in charge. I'm a huge fan of Israel. For most of you, I probably don't need to explain that, but as I look around the world at our friends, the Canadians, many of the Europeans, etc., they're not they're not managing their affairs very well. They're all turning socialist. As I look at some of the folks in the Asian countries that are our friends. Some of those are doing somewhat better, but look what happened with South Korea just recently. Anyway, Israel, they're a tad socialist themselves, but in general, I have to say they're probably the kind of friend. You know what? It's kind of like this. Musk isn't perfect. Trump isn't perfect. Israel isn't perfect, but all three are doing really, really well. The best thing that could happen out of this Iranian thing would be that, and I think this is what Trump has been working on, is to isolate Iran to the point where Saudi Arabia and the other Middle East countries will be comfortable signing the Abraham Accords. And we would then have the potential for actual stability in the Middle East for the first time in centuries. And Israel might be able to operate without too much problem, maybe even able to finish off the Gaza experiment, the Gaza problem, and maybe get the big, beautiful city there in Gaza that Trump has proposed. Anyway, things are moving along quite well. I'm very happy with what Israel's doing overnight and expect to see a lot more in the next few days as they continue to take out all of Iran's capabilities, nuclear and militarily. So the markets, of course, sold off on that news, and oil is way up on that news, and the bonds, unfortunately, yields have come back up on that news, but all of that is settling a little bit. The markets, the equities are rebounding a bit from the serious sell-off in the overnights. Tesla, kind of similarly. We'll go into all those details in a minute. So Barron's had this morning. It says shares of the electric vehicle maker Tesla were down 1.3% yesterday at 314 in pre-market trading. I think they're down a few more, maybe 310 this morning. While the S&P and the Dow Jones Industrial averages were also down yesterday. The broader market was moving lower after the Israel announced strikes. President Donald Trump signed a congressional joint resolution into law, however, yesterday, eliminating California's ability to regulate its own emissions. I talked about this yesterday, but there's a little more detail here. The authority was essential to Tesla's shares of U.S. ZEV credits, which have amounted to hundreds of millions of dollars each quarter. California, quote, California profoundly disagrees with today's unconstitutional, illegal, and foolish vote attempting to undermine critical clean air protections, said Leanne Randolph, chair of the California Air Resources Board, in an email statement. California will pursue every available remedy to challenge these actions and defend our right to protect the public from dangerous air pollution. This is a bill, by the way, so I'm not sure California's got much that they can do. Now, I, as a conservative, totally agree with all this. As a Tesla stockholder, no, it's going to have an impact. This is going to actually reduce profits, and it's not going to be a positive thing for Tesla. Anyway, the article goes on to say that means a legal battle, but for now, investors must consider the potential loss of some credit sales. And therefore, I think that's why the stock is down. Future Fund co-founder Gary Black said that the removal was part of the reason for Friday's weakness in the stock. And that's right. In the first quarter, he said the credit contributed about 20% of Tesla's gross profits and all of Tesla's pre-tax profits, which is true. Tesla can manage. It's not ideal, said Wedbush analyst Dan Ives. Not going to really move the needle that much because why? Because the future is not about about vehicles are those credits. Ives rates Tesla stock a buy target of $500 in the price. Most of that value sees derives from Tesla's artificial intelligence efforts and not from the car business. Despite the impact, investors knew it was coming, though Tesla stock has been relatively unaffected by the California-Trump conflict. Investors are more focused on AI. Tesla plans to launch the AI-trained Robotaxi service in Austin, Texas on June 22nd, whatever the launch is. So a launch is a launch, what they're doing now, the testing phase, or is the launch, I guess, June 22nd. Does that mean I get to move my date another 2 weeks? One would think. Let me know in the comments below if I should move my date to, what would that be, July 7th, something like that, when we will hit all-time highs. Bullish investors believe robotaxis and other AI applications such as humanoid robots can unlock a wave of earnings growth for the EV maker, and that's 100% true. Okay, we had some Model S and Model X updates yesterday, which unless there is more to the story than I've seen so far, they're not very significant. If you're thinking about a Model S or Model X, these look like very nice improvements. But overall, as Elon has said, in terms of the stock, in terms of earnings, in terms of unit sales, it's not very important to the story at this point. They also increased the prices of the vehicles by $5,000. There's a report out today that confirms and expands what Robert Scoble told us months ago here on this channel. This report was compiled by OBI, which is a global real-time aggregator that covers millions of pricing and pickup data points, providing consumers and business with actionable data on prices and pickup information about Uber, Lyft, and Waymo. So here's some interesting stats. Put these into your information banks as you're contemplating what is going to happen with robo-taxis. Waymo is between 30 and 40% more expensive than Uber and Lyft on the same routes. Think about that. 70% of users prefer Waymo to regular rideshare. 70% of Waymo users provide, I guess Waymo and Uber and Lyft riders prefer Waymo. Age, gender, and state of origin significantly impact attitudes towards autonomous vehicles and rideshare. In OBI's survey, I don't know if it's OBI's or OBI's, but anyway, survey of riders in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Arizona, where Waymo operates, we found that men are more trusting of autonomous vehicles than women, with 48% of men versus 34% of women saying they would trust Waymo to transport their children. 34% of women saying they would trust Waymo to transport their children. 65% of men would trust Waymo to transport an elderly relative. 44.5%, almost 50% of women would trust it to transport their elderly relative. 38.5% of men versus 16% of women surveyed have already traveled in a Waymo. In the 60-plus age group, 1 out of 2 individuals said they would never use an AV. Enthusiasm for Waymo is high across age groups, particularly among 45 to 59 years of age. Middle-aged and older adults also valued the quality of driverless cars. Younger adults, 18 to 29 of years, didn't express strong preference for AVs, while adults over 60 reflected more worries about the technology. For users that had taken a Waymo ride, a whopping 70% say they preferred a driverless car to a traditional rideshare or taxi. Safety, privacy, and job loss for drivers topped the list of concerns. Safety, privacy, job loss. Regarding AVs, safety concerns dropped by 8 to 15% for individuals who had ridden a Waymo. Once you ride it, you get it, but overall remained above 50%. Addressing consumer safety concerns will be a key hurdle for AVs to overcome, but that'll be like the simplest thing. As people ride them, they tell their friends, and then they ride with them, etc. You know how it's going to work. So what was your biggest issue with ride shares in 2025? Out of 420 people answering, prices was number one. 69% think it's just too expensive. The wait times are too long. That was 39%. Safety was 38%. Drivers canceling on me too often was 21%. Not enough competition was 18%. Not enough green rides was 16%. Not enough driverless cars, 16%. Question was, would you trust a Waymo autonomous driverless car to pick up your child? We talked about that already. 39% yes, 60% no. That's the overall stat. In the little notice, that's the end of that story. But how interesting is that? I thought that was extremely interesting. In the little noticed but expanding part of Tesla's business, Reuters is reporting this morning that Tesla is opening new virtual power plant business in Japan, going nationwide in Japan by providing free storage batteries to companies and remotely managing them to help balance energy supply and demand. The electric vehicle maker will expand the business in collaboration with leasing firm Fuyo General Lease and Energy Company, according to the Japanese media outlet Global Engineering. So they're going to put a mega pack in corporate businesses, create a balancing act on the grid, and make money off of the arbitrage. And anybody that wants it can get it free. And I guess, I don't know how, that's all we know about it. Okay, this is Randy Kirk. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, notify. Later today, we do not have Larry Goldberg. He's attending a graduation. So we have Bradford Ferguson coming back 2 nights in a row. How about that? And then later tonight, we'll have part 2 of the Cern Basher story. Join Patreon. That would be very helpful. Consumer sentiment improved for the first time in 6 months, it says here, climbing 16% from last month. This is according to, of course, the Consumer Sentiment Index by the University of Michigan. 16% up, remaining about 20% below that spike after President Trump was elected, when it says when sentiment had exhibited a post-election bump. These trends were unanimous across the distributions of age, income, wealth, political party, and geographic region. Moreover, all 5 index components rose, with a particularly steep increase for short and long-run expected business conditions. This is consistent with the perceived easing of pressures from tariffs. Consumers appear to have settled somewhat from the shock of the extremely high tariffs announced in April and the policy volatility seen in the weeks that followed. However, consumers still perceive wide-ranging downside risks to the economy. Their views of business conditions, personal finances, buying conditions for big-ticket items, labor markets, and stock markets all remain well below 6 months ago. But that was after a big spike. They don't say that. Well, they did say that, but they don't repeat it. Despite this month's notable improvements, consumers remain guarded and concerned about the trajectory of the economy. Year-ahead inflation expectations plunged from 6.6% last month. 6.6%! But remember, that was like 9% for Democrats and 1.5% for Republicans. So this dropped from 6.6 last month to 5.1% this month, which is still nuts. Long-range inflation expectations fell for the second straight month, stepping down from 4.2 to 4.1, which is nuts. Both readings are in the lowest in 3 months. Consumers' fears about the potential impact of tariffs on future inflation have softened somewhat in June. Still, inflation expectations remain above readings seen throughout the second half of 2024. And remember, this is the first half. This is the preliminary number for the first half of June. They survey all of 250 people to get these results. I have so little confidence in these surveys anymore. Directionally, I think they probably have it right. But 4.5% inflation. Anyway, okay. So let's take a look at the markets. Let's start, as we always do, with what Tesla's doing now. Okay, recovering and actually headed toward the green. Tesla was momentarily in the green earlier today, down 0.39% right now, but definitely heading up and to the right. The Dow also is down 1.27, NASDAQ down 0.88, S&P down 0.75. All 3 are trending upward at this moment. Magnificent 7 all down, and all appearing to be moving upward, I think, at this point. Yeah. And then Cathie Woods, all down, except for CRISPR, which is a little bit up. And they are all trending upward also. All right. So that's where we are. So we have the shock of the Israeli situation, which caused stocks to go down. We've got the consumer sentiment numbers coming out, which would be a very big positive. Let's see how all this is impacting the bond market. Oops, I hit the wrong thing here. We go to bonds. We have got the bonds, unfortunately, back up 5.6 basis points. to 4.413. I don't know what to say. We have got oil up this morning, but not as much as it was, up $4. I'm sorry, $3.93 at just about 72. Brent is sitting barely above so Texas Intermediate, $71.97. Brent is only, what is that? 45 cents higher, 55 cents higher. Anyway, and natural gas is up 1.86, right in the middle of the range at 3.56 cents, $3.56. Gold rebounded yesterday, continues to rebound today, 3,449. Silver backing off a bit, but still $36.27. It's down 0.07. Copper down 1.18% at $4.78. So moving quite a bit down from that. It was $4.85, $4.86 yesterday or the day before. The dollar now is rallying, and the Bitcoin is not. Bitcoin is down 2,466 today at 105 roughly. Okay, those are all the numbers. The president has reached out to Iran again and said, look, before Israel completely sends you back to the Stone Ages, would you like to make a deal? I'm not sure that at this point Israel is going to stop, even if Trump has a deal. I have a feeling that Israel has every inclination to make sure that at least the nuclear part of their effort is completely 100% destroyed. It'll be super interesting to see what happens the rest of the day and over the weekend. It is a news crazy weekend with the big military display tomorrow on the celebration of the Army's 250th birthday. Also, the president's birthday. We've got people that are going to be rioting throughout the country. They say they're going to be demonstrating. But the people that show up with masks and backpacks full of rocks, I think you call those rioters, and I think they're going to be intending to riot. We will see what happens over the weekend with all of that and how quickly various jurisdictions are able to respond to those situations. And then we've got Iran continuing, Israel and Iran continuing to be in this situation. And yeah, so a lot to watch, as well as do Teslas continue to move around Austin freely without any problems? We'll see how that all works out over the weekend. All right, let's take a quick look back at Tesla. Is only down 0.24% now, looking like it'll be in the green within a few minutes. As mentioned, coming up today, instead of Larry Goldberg, you got Bradford Ferguson and then Cern Basher Part 2 later tonight. Last night, Cern Basher Part 1 and Bradford Ferguson last night. Both of these were stunning. I'll put both cards up because the Bradford Ferguson one, we talked about some stuff that was kind of dangerous talk. It was kind of talk that almost is kind of the stuff that nobody's talking about, but maybe we should be. We love Trump and we love Musk, but there's a piece of that relationship, a piece of the Musk power situation right now in the world, which is maybe something that is nobody wants to talk about it, but we did last night. So check it out. If you didn't see it already, check it out from last night. I'll put the cards right up there. All right. I think that's all I got for you right now. It has been great talking to you.